Welcome, everyone. I'm Sheila Pickett, ServiceNow Marketing Director for State and Local Government and Education. For the next hour, we will be talking about how the state of Texas delivers brokerage services for 100-plus customer agencies. ServiceNow is delighted to present this webinar with our partner, Capgemini. The ServiceNow-Capgemini partnership brings together the strong domain expertise of Capgemini, the power and scalability of the ServiceNow platform, and a joint focus on business value. Together, we create long-term benefits for our joint customers. In this webinar, we are very proud to share the great results the state of Texas is achieving. And I'm delighted to share that we have a surprise guest today. Todd Kim Burrell is joining us. Todd is the State of Texas CIO and Deputy Executive Director. He has been serving as the CIO for the state of Texas since 2015. As CIO, Todd helps ensure delivery of new technology services, offers leadership on technology issues, and acts as a functional support to customer agencies. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you, Sheila. Happy to be here.
We're delighted you are here, as I said, and also delighted to welcome Jennifer Buas. Jennifer joined the Texas Department of Information Resources in 2005. In her many capacities at DIR, she has served as a research analyst, developer, and business analyst. She is currently the Director of Engineering and manages the Texas.gov program, which provides a variety of services to state agencies, higher ed, and local government. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks, Sheila.
And next, David Rudell. David leads Capgemini's Siam practice. He is a foremost expert in the design and implementation of Siam operating models for advanced IT and shared services. David regularly briefs analysts and advisors on the advances in Siam business value, service architectures, innovation approaches, and technical automations. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Sheila. It's great to be here.
And from ServiceNow, I am delighted that Chris Dilley is joining us. Chris Dilley is ServiceNow Chief Architect for State and Local Government and Education. Building on his former role as Enterprise Architect for the state of Iowa, Chris serves as a trusted advisor to state leaders. Chris has helped numerous states modernize systems, migrate to the cloud, automate workflows, and deliver impactful services. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Sheila. Great to be here and glad to be able to talk about Capgemini and the state of Texas and the great partnership we have.
Yep, we have a great hour ahead. Today we will start with a quick look at the trend toward brokerage services in state government, and then we are going to dive into the journey for the state of Texas, where the DIR is focused on becoming a world-class broker of IT services to government agencies. Just a little background to set the stage here on brokerage services. Arguably, the ultimate goal of every state and local government agency is to deliver relevant and quality services to citizens. But this is no easy feat. State and local governments are asked to radically innovate on the latest next-gen technologies while keeping legacy systems up and running. With technology and service delivery changing so rapidly, government agencies and agency CIOs in particular are looking for ways they can adapt to change and adopt new capabilities more rapidly. But it is a very challenging task. An effective agency CIO must navigate political forces, including legislative, budgeting, and election cycles, as well as inevitable administration changes. Also, market forces that affect the technical capabilities that are available, as well as the sustainability of services and technologies. Customer forces, including the demands of citizens, as well as customer agencies and employees. And inertial forces that are the processes and structures that make change challenging, things like procurement, organization processes, human nature, etc. The National Association of State CIOs has taken a deeper look at how state CIOs can be most effective in this environment. In partnership with Integrator Applied, NASCIO issued several recent reports on this topic based on information gained from the state CIOs themselves. These reports call out the CIO as broker operating model, also referred to as a multi-source service integration or MSI model, or service integration and management or SIAM model. This model offers a solution to manage multiple suppliers of services and integrate them to provide a single business-facing IT organization. With this approach, the CIO can reduce technical debt and future-proof the IT agency to deliver secure and efficient IT services so customer agencies can focus on mission-oriented innovation. The model offers a solution to manage multiple suppliers of services and integrate them to provide a single business-facing IT organization. And this model best positions the CIO to harness the forces we discussed so they can respond to customer needs, keep pace with market demands, leverage new technologies, and engage across stakeholder groups. In concept, this all sounds great, but how does it work in the real world? To help answer that question, Todd and Jennifer will talk about the Texas Department of Information Resources, its mission, vision, and the forces influencing the adoption of an MSI model for the state. Todd and Jennifer, I'll turn it to you.
Hi, this is Jennifer, and so Texas DIR is really the technology agency for the state of Texas, and we have a shared technology services program, and that program serves our customers, and all of our customers serve the constituents. So we actually don't serve any of the constituents directly. But in this model, Texas is also a non-cabinet form of government, which means that there is approximately 170 separate CIOs all doing their kind of own thing. So DIR really tries to set the technology strategy. We can't dictate what everybody does, but we do try to set the strategy and best practices on how to protect infrastructure. When the MSI model, DIR adopted that model in 2012, and we were the first public sector adopter of this model, and we had a lot of success, and it was only for our data center services program at the time. Since then, we've seen shared services continue to grow, and it's been very beneficial for our customers. So last year in 2018, we moved our Texas.gov program, which is application development, our payment processing. We all moved this into the shared services program that does fall under the MSI. And we've seen a lot of success, and it just helps it's been a great value for our customers.
So I'd like to add in a point here that when you consider the form of government here in Texas, as Jennifer explained, it's very difficult to get full transparency and accountability for how IT and technology is consumed and from a budget perspective paid for. So to give some context for our world, the state budget for Texas this year is about $112 billion. The DIR budget is about $400 million. Out of our $400 million, we leverage cost of service programs where we have our partners such as Capgemini and ServiceNow, where we get under a managed service contract, and that's about 90% of our budget. So we are largely depending upon our business partners to drive the operations that deliver high-quality services to our customers. This model, as Sheila said, the NASCIO did produce a document and a report on CIO as a broker. We worked closely with NASCIO. It's largely modeled on this MSI strategy that we have down here in Texas that we largely extended in 2000, as Jennifer said, extended in 2018 to not only cover our data center program, but to cover all of our shared services that all of our agency customers consume.
If you look at the challenge, really, as technology evolves and we're being asked to grow and push, but do it with less, we really understood that we need to provide a single view of the technology and what it looks like to our leadership, just to increase the transparency. You're able to track the spin for the state, and that's really, really important to our leadership in Texas. And so the MSI model has really allowed us and given us more visibility into understanding what spin looks like, what our challenges look like when we have operational issues. It's more of one place to report.
So another element of this that really represents a significant challenge, not only for Texas but for all states, is this concept of moving towards a digital government. And a digital government is not just what used to be considered e-commerce, of moving online transactions online for payment services, but eliminating all the back office manual processes. When we awarded this service contract to Capgemini, we made a very, very hard push to eliminate headcount as part of the operations and rather increase the significant level of automation and to make sure that the platforms that we're using are scalable and can meet the needs, our growing needs for what a program that could be grow infinitely. And one of the key partners that Capgemini incorporated in that digital strategy was the ServiceNow platform. So we pushed hard, and our partners have done a fantastic job of really building out this platform to accomplish things that we couldn't have otherwise accomplished in the old contract. So Sheila,
Great.
I think we'll take it back to you.
Thank you so much, Todd and Jennifer. That's really helpful to understand the challenges that DIR is addressing and the mission and vision for your organization. Next, we're going to hear from David to talk about how this MSI model is implemented for the state of Texas. As I'd mentioned, this is recognized as a leading example of the CIO as broker operating model. So David, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. So first of all, we really feel privileged to have been entrusted with the role of the multi-sourcing service integrator by the state. It is a critical role, and I'll talk about why that is as we kind of dissect the model just a little bit that you see in front of you. The MSI model, it's also known as Siam Service Integration and Management, is a model that really drives towards providing business value to the customers that you see on top. And there you see the state agencies and the local governments and higher education. And key to this, as Jennifer and Todd were talking about, it was growing the business, growing the shared services capability and the shared services volume in order to serve a deeper and a broader set of audience across the state of Texas, as that is the mission. In the middle, you see the multi-sourcing service integrator, and that's Capgemini's role. And what we do is fundamentally stitch together all of the various IT services or component services that you see at the bottom of the model, right? There are a number of data center services, Texas.gov, application services, security services, and cloud-type services. And these are growing. And as part of 2.0, as Jennifer said, is the state of Texas asked us, wanted to increase the number of services that they could offer through this model. And that is continuing to occur. Right. This was the model as we deployed it in 2018, and the continual growth of both customers and services is core to this. But in order to stitch it together, the role of the multi-sourcing service integrator is a critical role, and Capgemini performs that on behalf of the state, and we basically assure that the services are effective, that they're combined together so that they are delivered to the customers with quality, with effectiveness, and with a level of transparency that allows the public sector agencies and customers to really understand what they're getting, how they're getting it, why they're getting it, so that they really feel like they have a level of trust with the organization that just drives growth, and it drives a healthy relationship. Now, as we embarked on this in 2018, really, the states, we tried to put a solution together that embodied what the state desired, which is let's drive automation into the services that we perform. In 2012, we did much more of a very labor-based solution. This is highly, highly automated. And as you'll see in the slides coming up, ServiceNow is a great platform on which to try to increase that automation. You'll notice that we have zero spreadsheet tolerance. That is kind of the key feature of this. As we hold meetings now within the state, with the agencies, et cetera, we actually use the ServiceNow platform to talk through data and operations and so on. And we removed spreadsheets from that, the operation from before. We innovate continuously. We drive really, really high levels of innovation across the platform. Every day, our team is looking for ways to drive additional innovation and automation, and they're gold on that as well. And then we're accelerating the service evolution. And in just a bit, Chris will talk about how as a broker, one of the abilities to accelerate service evolution is to drive the onboarding and offboarding of services, customers, and suppliers within the model. Just to briefly touch the focus areas as we deploy the model, you can see that there's 8 different capabilities and platforms that we deployed with big focus around customer experience, analytics, as we talked about, high levels of automation, and then driving growth through the platform. This is accompanied by a focus on security. The state has very concerned with maintaining security for the customers. We also are because with the automation, we're highly dependent upon that integration platform. And once again, at the end of the day, the core capability we want is to deliver quality services to our customers, our business customers at the state. And we'll also talk in just a bit about the cloud capabilities that we're adding into and increasing use of into our mix. The technology view of what we provided is what you can see in the slide in front of you now. And you can see that we have a number of consumers of what we call the MSI platform, right? And the MSI platform is a collection of technology that is enabling the you see in orange to be performed. And there's a whole set of users that will consume that technology. And that includes both the customers themselves as well as the various participants in the ecosystem. And you can see them on the left-hand side of the slide. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see all of the various providers that are providing component services into the model. And these range, as Jennifer had said, from texas.gov type of development and deployment through to cloud, public cloud, as well as your traditional data center type services. And anyway, so we created a platform that is primarily based on ServiceNow that performs just this rich set of functions that are required in order to be an MSI and to provide the MSI function. And I have to say that we are really delighted with the way that ServiceNow enables us to not only drive innovation and automation, but really delegate that to a number of the teams that perform it, so that we're really operating something of a DevOps operation within the state, because we feel like the knowledge about how to best perform a service and bring value is actually part and parcel to changing the technology and the automation in order to increase the value, reduce the cost of providing the services, and drive growth within the overall model. You'll also notice that we're using a fairly sophisticated integration platform as a service that we provide in order to provide high levels of data integration to the various providers so that we can really achieve the full levels of transparency that we've talked about and that are outcomes within this. So it's a very, very rich set of functions, and it's a very rich set of technology that enable those functions. And we've had a lot of success with this, and we're really feel very pleased to have been able to provide this for the state. And with that, I'll turn it back to Sheila.
Thank you, David. ServiceNow is also very pleased for the role we play in this solution. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Dilley to talk more about digital workflow on an integrated platform such as the one that Capgemini is developing for the state of Texas.
Thank you, Sheila. And yeah, we talked a lot about the what. Now let's get into a little bit of the how. As we've heard a lot about, the workflow and integration capabilities of the Now platform have really been key to deliver the services that Texas DIR is needing, and plus the ability for Capgemini to facilitate all the functions that are really going to drive this and drive all the capabilities that are required. And because of the Now platform, we really have the ability to tie in that integration of all those different components that are needed, but still being able to tie about the user experience, and then really look at, from an embedded intelligence perspective, the guardrails, the constraints that are needed as part of this, and to drive automation, and really be able to do that anywhere from a no-code configuration to a low-code and pro-code environment to meet those requirements. So let's talk about a few of the use cases that Capgemini is delivering for the state of Texas. We're going to get into some of these a little bit deeper here in the next segment. But as we talk about the digital marketplace, you have to build confidence for those consumers of an intuitive interface to be able to understand where to find those services and really understand what those services means. That's what all of us expect as consumers, and really Capgemini and Texas DIR have taken that as they build out their digital marketplace, how they do those service offerings. Then you're going to see a number of areas where it's really about an automate-first approach. You know, we heard Todd talk about this and David about how they really want to use automation to drive a better experience, to optimize the efficiency of what they can deliver. And as they look at automating those IT service brokering components to really from the demand of what they need to do all the way through the delivery of this. And then having the framework and the compliance to have the processes monitored and understand where we getting outside the realm of what we need to deliver, how we need to deliver that. And then looking at, from an agile perspective, how do we look at the integrated test and defect and release management components of this? As we know, the release and change management components of this so often can result in outages and impacts. And they really take that integrated approach to really understand how it's going to impact what they do, how they deliver those services, how they can do that with quality and build the confidence of the Texas workforce who are utilizing these services. And then having a common interface, a workbench, where they can manage that governance model and make sure that all the right eyes are seeing what needs to be done and how we're making sure that we're managing things there appropriately is key to this. And as we heard Todd talk about the visibility and insight about cost management and budget management, and the ability to tie in and automate the financial chargeback and components of this. Any of us expect to understand, what are our bills and what are our impacts and costs that we're paying, and they're providing that automated approach to that to really provide the insight and the transparency to deliver these services across and back to those 100-plus agencies across Texas DIR that they're supporting. So these are just a few of the use cases that Capgemini has really built out and optimized to continue to support and grow what they're doing with Texas DIR. So let's look a little deeper at some of these functions. Back to you, Sheila.
Thank you, Chris. And now I'll turn it over to Jennifer, Todd, and David to go into that deeper dive on some of these use cases. Jennifer?
Yeah, thanks. So when you look at the digital marketplace, we've been working with Capgemini. We knew that your user experience is critical. So you want that, as Chris mentioned, you want that intuitive experience when they come in to order your services. So we have developed both a public-facing catalog, so our customers can see the services that we have available, learn about those services, But then we also have an internal catalog, so where they log in, the system knows, okay, I know who you're with, I gets all your credentials, and then they can start ordering services. So more of like an Amazon look and feel. And we felt this is so important to get it right at the beginning because most of our customers and the services that we provide, it's not mandated. So they can go and take their business somewhere else if they want to. So we have to make sure that we provide a great experience for them and that it's simple and they can follow along.
And I'd like to add one element too, that from the customer's perspective, you all saw that David put up a slide a few slides back that kind of looked, we call it the dog tag slide. It had the MSI layer with 5 or 6 different program tags beneath it. And I just want to point out one way to think about, we could explain the strength of this model all day long, and you may or may not really intuitively understand it. One way to really see the value and the strength of this model is to consider that slide and consider when you don't have this MSI function with the digital platform, you end up with 5 or 6 different programs. That means from a customer's perspective, that's 5 or 6 different help desks. That's 5 or 6 different bills. That's 5 or 6 different account representatives. That's 5 or 6 different ways and methods of accomplishing different services. And the risk of going to the wrong service or the wrong program and having one program build out a solution that more appropriately fit in another program area is a significant risk to the business. So this model really accomplishes a tremendous amount of things that may be somewhat transparent to some of the users or customers.
Yeah, and I think David's going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to automate and how you onboard, and because we needed to make it easy to onboard new customers, new services. And
Great.
I'll pass to you.
So, yeah, thanks, Jennifer. As Chris had talked about, and as the various use cases, the automation use cases that we deployed coming out of the gate in 2018, and that we've continued to deploy over 2019. This is one that really sort of articulates what does it mean to be an IT broker, right? And an IT broker is not necessarily like the sort of monolithic organization that does all the pieces, right? We're taking a bunch of different best-of-breed participants, and we are stitching them together in order to provide the, really quality and simple access services for our customer base. Now, in order to do that, and in order to evolve with that, you've got to be able to onboard new services. You've got to be able to retire services. You have to be able to bring in new providers that you may not have been in the model before. And you certainly, as you're growing, want to be able to bring in new customers. And so as we sat down to sort of design the solution and try to blueprint out the types of automations we wanted, we knew that we needed to be able to do this faster, and we needed to be able to do it with less effort. And so the team put together a whole series of workflows that leverage, the PPM module within ServiceNow, allowing for all the different folks, demand managers, service managers, solution managers, to execute these types of processes using automation in order to reduce the workload and make sure that really the high-value activities are what human beings still did, and the way the work was driven through the workflow reduced sort of the lower value effort. And it moves faster, and it moves with a much more with a higher quality, because you have less chances of the people doing the wrong thing, putting the wrong data in place, and it makes the evolution of IT service brokering really flow quickly and effectively. And I'll turn it over to Chris, and he'll talk through a little bit more about the details of how ServiceNow Workflow can do this type of activity.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, so let's look a little deeper at how this does flow. So if you think about the stakeholders and different different business interests of the services they need that are not being offered today. So how do we get those services into the pipeline to ultimately determine how we deliver those? So bringing those in, like David mentioned, through a demand or through a project intake process, and being able to have the framework to submit that need, to have that need be reviewed by the appropriate individuals as we look at resource managers, demand managers, the different stakeholders, even Todd potentially at this, to understand how do we really want to look at this and make sure it's going to be scalable and available across all the Texas DIR and the agencies that need this. And then we look at, from a supplier perspective, how are we going to deliver this? How are we going to make sure that we have the right resources and understanding how have our suppliers been able to deliver this for us? Do we have the ability to score these and really understand the on-time and delivery of some of these things? This helps us really fine-tune and define that solution to make sure that as we take it to the level of agreeing on those service definitions for that service and making sure that we can really drive this and deliver this and ultimately onboard that service and the provider, we now have the framework for this to really feel confident in not only our delivery of this and the scalability and management of this, but also the ability to make sure that this has the right insights, visibility to tie back to all the other components, applications, whatever it may be that Texas DIR is delivering. And then as we're doing that, then we can make sure as the customers are coming in, we have the visibility insight to, again, as they're bringing their needs in and defining the services that they need and that service offering at the levels that they require, we now have the ability to automate and drive this complete framework from end to end, from the demand intake all the way through the onboarding and bringing that service live for the customers that need that. And just as key in this automation and this flow doesn't define it, but also the visibility to, as we need to turn off these services and understand who is taking advantage of these services or offboarding some of these, it really has the ability to really reverse this. And now we have insight and compliance wrapped around all this function to deliver this.
Great. And then this is David Rudell again. I just want to, in talking about new services and improving services, I want to talk about the shared services Siam cloud management that we're deploying for the state. Now, the state had done a lot of cloud work previously, and we had deployed some capabilities for them. But what we really wanted to be able to do was to try to hide the complexity of multiple cloud providers, right? Both an Amazon, let's say an Amazon and an Azure and potentially a Google, right? And we don't want the customers that are going to actually acquire some of these services, we don't want them to have to understand that these are three separate sets of services and have to interact with them differently. We're trying to create a platform by which they just log in and then they acquire their cloud services, and they're normalized in a way that takes the complexity out of it, but still leverages the ability to pick the type of cloud service that they want. So we are deploying ServiceNow's cloud management platform in order to provide that. And the things that are really, really important to the state that are coming out with the use of achievable with the use of the cloud management platform are the level of governance and policy and control possible within that ServiceNow cloud management module. Within a shared services organization, we've got multiple people that have to play a role within the deployment of these cloud services. And what we can do with the cloud management module is really facilitate different levels of interaction by different audiences in order to be able to bring cloud services to the business. We know that providing cloud services is the direction that the government needs to take in terms of optimizing cost and capability and keeping up with modern technology. But the important thing is, how do you do this in a very, very effective way with the right levels of governance to protect not only the security and the financial responsibilities of the state and and the agencies and our customers, but also to protect the consumers of cloud from maybe doing the wrong thing, right? So we're providing some guardrails through the policy and the governance capabilities within ServiceNow Cloud Management Module to provide that type of function and to allow folks that are new to the cloud to embark upon that journey with tight levels of control, and those that have been within, using the cloud for a number of years to go and exploit it to the fullest of its potential. So that's being deployed in December, and that'll be enhanced again in 2020 with some additional capabilities. With that, I will turn it back to Sheila.
Thank you, David. These are very impressive capabilities and services that the state of Texas is able to offer, that DIR is able to offer to their customer agencies. But now let's get to the really good stuff. What are the outcomes for DIR now that this model is in place? And for that, I turn it back to Jennifer and Todd.
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. So as we have been able to streamline and to offer more services in a more consolidated fashion and make it easier for our customers to use these services, it's meant that they have been able to deliver a better service to the constituent. And so that is extremely important to us and extremely important to our customers. And because they can deliver those services and they're reliable and quick and scalable, we have seen a 95% overall customer satisfaction rating through our Shared Technology Services program, and that's all of our agencies through scorecard metrics. And we've been able to continue to grow. So as our customers, when customers are happy, they want more. And we've been able to start really incorporating our growth and outreach program, which is new. We've never been able to say, all right, where can we take it now? What service can we do now? We've been able to talk to our customers and say, what do you need? What does your business need? Because that's really who we're serving. We're not serving the IT shops. We're serving the businesses, and they're working through those agency IT shops. But it's understanding where the business is wanting to go and what their strategies and what they need, and so how we can deliver those services.
Yeah, and there are two really sort of critical outcomes that we've accomplished, by adopting this model and by working with our partners to increase create this program, which we can generally just think of as IT as a service collectively for the whole program. One is when you look at a traditional IT shop, certainly in a state agency and certainly here in Texas, you look at the profile of skills that exist in that shop, and programs like this, much like cloud programs, have commoditized the infrastructure that exists in a data center environment. And so when you're an IT shop that runs its own data center, you have a significant percentage of your staff that are committed to keeping the lights on, pulling cables, watching blinking lights. And through a program like this, we've allowed our agency IT departments to reorganize and retool their staff so that an enormous benefit is an IT organization serving its customers inside its own agency is far more empowered to enable their mission through having developers and business analysts and project managers to work more closely with their business units to make sure that they're enabling the services that the business units need in order to accomplish their business function. So if you can take an IT shop and have 100% of your staff focused on enabling your customers and not have 30 to 40% of your staff focused on watching blinking lights, which really do not add any value at all to an agency or an organization to accomplish its mission. This program accomplishes that. So we are seeing IT shops that are our customers that have recognized this and have started through attrition, through retirements, through other means, have started to retrain their IT staff so that now there's very few sort of sysadmin type capabilities and skill sets in our customer agencies anymore, and that continues to reduce as they shift the skills into more value-added skills to further enable the missions that they have. For a state like Texas, that's a critical outcome because we have very limited headcount. DIR, for example, has statutory authority. We have 198 employees. Every agency has a statutory limit on how many employees they can have. So in order to do more and in order to grow, unlike the private sector where if you have a great program, unexpectedly achieving success, you can just add more headcount. Unfortunately, we can't do that here in Texas. So the only way that we can grow, and we do have a net increase of citizens every day. We add about 1,000 citizens every day. That means more services, more tickets, more disk, more storage, more online backup, more caseworkers, more and more and more. And so that drives our crystal focus on making sure that we are digitizing, that we are automating, because the only way that we can serve the increased citizen headcount is through increased automation. So that's an enormous outcome for us that allows us to not only get our IT workers working in the most effective skills, but also to satisfy and serve all the citizens that we have coming in. So what's next? As Dave and Chris talked about cloud and the importance of cloud, cloud is a key part of our strategy, our go-forward strategy. There are certain characteristics of cloud, and within our hybrid model, the automation of the provisioning activities for our customers to use a single pane of glass and have our systems make the right decisions about certain compute and certain workload that is better served if it's on an on-premise environment in our 2 on-premise data centers, or in some cases that it's better served if it migrates out to one of our 5 different cloud environments. And so through automation, we can start to make those decisions of assuring our customers that their workloads are going to the right environment for the right reasons. There are many cost efficiencies associated with cloud, but cloud for the sake of cloud is not necessarily an outcome that we want to accomplish. There are certainly many stories out there where federal government adopted a cloud-first strategy in 2010, and then they changed that strategy in 2018 to become cloud smart because they saw the sprawl that resulted, the lack of consolidated contracting, the lack of cloud awareness for many of the federal agencies that simply went to the cloud without purpose, without strategy, and without governance. So, full cloud orchestration is really a key part of the growth that we see going forward to do it in a safe and assured manner. People used to say cloud is more secure. Well, that's not necessarily true in all cases. It's still the obligation of the customer to secure your workload in the cloud. So full cloud orchestration does become a key part of how we see the program growing and serving more and more customers, particularly local governments and K through 12 and higher education. We have some of those political subdivisions that are in the program currently, but we're certainly focused on getting more into the program. The next area, when you think about, for most states, the strategy for a number of years has been consolidate. Well, our strategy going forward now is optimize. We believe we've hit our consolidation targets. We have 80% of the compute for the state consolidated in the program. Of the 80% that's been consolidated, that represents about 85% of the compute for those agencies that participate. So we've hit our targets from a consolidation perspective, and so now we're really focused on optimization, and partnering with ServiceNow and with Capgemini allows us to focus on making sure that workloads are in the right environments, that they're secured appropriately, and that we have high availability strategies and continuity of operations factored into the service that our customers consume every day. And of course, security is a critical component. We have to assure that we are securing the workload. Some of you may have been aware of a widespread ransomware event that occurred in August in Texas that impacted 23 local cities. And that's the kind of thing that had those cities been participating in our program, we would have had the assurance that would not have happened. So for us, security is first and foremost within the program, and our partners have to digitize with that in mind, and they've been able to do that. So we're very, very pleased with that one, they do secure IT service delivery. in everything that we do. We are producing a state strategic plan. We actually just produced it, and that's a 5-year look ahead of where is technology going in the state. Secure IT service delivery is goal number 1. Goal number 2 is advanced data management and digital services. And goal number 3 is agile and automated IT strategies. And based on, I think, everything that you've heard for the last 45 minutes or so, line up behind this state strategic plan. We've produced the words that we want our customer agencies to follow, but we are in fact living under our own guidance and if you will, eating our own donuts through this partnership with Capgemini and with ServiceNow. So I think with that, I'll turn it back over to Sheila.
Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you, Jennifer, David, and Chris. This has been a great discussion. Really a very powerful solution has been implemented to deliver services throughout the state of Texas. And we do have some time for some Q&A. So I'll just remind you, if you do have questions for the team here, please go ahead and type those in. We have received a couple of these. So I'll start with the first question. What criteria have you established to identify priorities for workflow automation? And you did touch on that a bit, Todd, on full cloud orchestration and servicing local government, K-12 and higher ed. But are there more specific priorities that you or the team have identified to determine what you are automating next?
Yeah, so there are 2 levels of automation. One is continuing to work with finalizing our hybrid cloud model, and it's the first of its kind in the country. We have private connections with our cloud partners with automated provisioning, and we are incorporating scripting that allows a single pane of glass for our customers to leverage native tools from the cloud providers in the back end and in a multi-tenant environment. So our program has space carved out with a very unique IP topology and architecture in the cloud providers that allows the program to provide assurance within our cloud providers, but yet allow each individual agency to have their own virtual data center contained, isolated and contained within the program environment in our cloud providers. So that allows our customers to have assurance that their services are not compromised by other customers in the program, that they're isolated and segmented appropriately. So that level of automation is really in place, and we're finishing up all of the work necessary for that. The other level is to look at the actual tasking that is performed, continuing to drive down the manual tasks that still remain within the program. So we're not completely digitally completed. We are focused on some tasks still that do need to be automated to get us to this sort of end state of truly digital government services. Hope that answered the question.
Great. Yes, thank you very much. And you have an impressive increase to 95% customer satisfaction. This next question, what capabilities within the model are most significant in driving that increase to 95% satisfaction for DIR customers?
Yeah, so that's actually, we're very proud of that number. That represents, I will give you the context that in 2010, before we implemented this MSI model, our customer satisfaction was about 10% satisfied and 90% dissatisfied. And that drove us to consider what different options we had to address that customer satisfaction issue. So it does represent a very significant turnaround. And I think it comes down to 3 different things that primarily have driven that. One is the governance process that we've implemented, where our customers participate in strategic decision-making for the program. 2 is the transparency that we've created. We tell our customers bad news before we tell them good news, make sure that we are fully transparent with challenges that we may be having with any operational aspect of the program. And 3, we've enabled the customers to self-serve and drive their own participation in the programs, very much like they would in a private sector organization or if they were going to the market for adopting their own cloud services. So those were the three things that fundamentally allowed us to treat the customers like somebody in the private sector would, and really drive that increased customer satisfaction.
Great. That is a very impressive increase in that time frame. And we were about at the end of our time. One last question that came in that we can give a quick answer to is your strategic plan available online? And if so, can you share the URL?
Yes. So our strategic plan, as well as all of the contracts that we have with our managed service providers, are on the DIR website, which is www.dir.texas.gov. And if you go to the website, you can find all of the materials that we have in place describing the MSI model, the contract with Capgemini, our Texas.gov program, the services that we provide to our customers. It's all out there on our website. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Todd and Jennifer. ServiceNow and Capgemini are great. We greatly appreciate your participation on the webinar today and helping us share the story about the great results you're achieving for the state of Texas. I also want to thank my partner here, David and Chris Dilley, for their support in sharing the story. As I mentioned at the top, we're very proud of the partnership with ServiceNow and Capgemini and the results that we're able to achieve for our joint customers. I want to remind all of you who've joined the call today that there is a resource list on the right side of the screen with additional assets to provide more information on many of the topics that we've discussed today. And please fill out the survey that is also available via the widget. We are very interested to hear what is most helpful to you in these webinars and how we can continue to improve our program. Thank you all.